Happy Friday, everybody. What's going on? It's your boy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. This is the post weigh-in recap for UFC 252. And let me tell you, I'm sweating. Your boy's a little nervous. Today was an interesting one. Kicking off our weigh-in show, we have a brand new fight added to UFC 252. UFC's been doing a whole lot of this lately, and I'm actually loving it. Every time we lose a fight, they reach out to a couple local regional scene guys, and they're like, hey, you got the call, head on up, big boy time, you're in the UFC, let's get you a scrap. So I've got a little bit of homework to do this evening because this one looks like it's going to be a banger. This fight's taking place at 145 pounds. We've got Kai Kamaka, who comes in against Tony Kelly. Both these guys have pretty solid regional scene credentials from what I understand. Hot prospects, probably would have been in the UFC in a short amount of time if it weren't for this short notice call up. Both guys short notice, so can't really expect one to have too much of an advantage over the other. Both of them look to be in excellent shape. What I'm thinking is a lot of these regional guys that feel like they may or may not get the call up, I think they're staying ready. Everyone's coming in, they're on point, they're in shape, none of them are missing weight. Like, I think these guys know that call might be coming at any time. So Kai Kamaka looked great, real good on the scales. Tony, same thing, he looked solid on the scales and threw his arm up after he made weight, seemed real pumped up. And Tony stepped up on Kai when they got into each other's faces at the face-off. It was a good, solid face-off, and really both guys looked ready to go. I can't wait to research this one. I can't give you any opinions on it at this point in time because both men looked extremely confident based on the weigh-ins and the face-offs. I got to look at their skill set. There's nothing to take from this particular weigh-in. Next up, we've got the big boys. Chris Daukaus taking on Parker Porter. Daukaus came in at 251 pounds or 241 pounds or 249 pounds. It was hard to hear the guy announcing it, so I'm not sure. Either way, he came in under 250. Not a whole lot to report. And then, Parker, I'm sorry. I keep saying Parker. I'm so sorry. Parker Porter came in at 262 and a half. Now, both these guys look super big. Both these guys are flabby. They're like your classic overweight heavyweights. Nothing really to look at. Parker came in a bit flabbier than I am used to seeing him, however. Normally, he's not quite that out of shape. And then Daukaus looked way bigger. When they were doing the face-offs, it was respectful. Neither guy got overly, ambitious, no emotion, nothing like that. It was good. But the size difference of Daukaus really was the story here for me. I was kind of leaning to Porter because I've seen what he can do with his straight punches down the middle. When he gets on top of you, he's a big, heavy dude. Getting him off will be a problem. But now I'm kind of leaning towards Daukaus just because I didn't expect the size advantage to be that massive. I think Porter's going to have a hard time getting to Daukaus around those long arms. So I don't know. I don't have a bet on this fight, so I'm just kind of going based off the weigh-ins here. Probably not going to end up betting that one to begin with, but I have tilted the other direction here. Ashley Yoder taking on Lavinia Souza. Both women came in at 115.5. Ashley Yoder made it to the scales first. She looked comfortable, in good shape, ready to go. Souza, she threw her fist up in the air. She looked relaxed. She looked pumped up, excited to be there. And then when they faced off, they both kind of got into it. They were kind of jawing at each other, getting into each other's faces. I like the heat. I like what I'm seeing. That one's going to be fun. Nothing really sways me there. I've got a bet on Souza. I think she's the better fighter. I think she's going to be the more intense woman when they get in the cage, and she's the one who's less likely to break. So I still like my bet on Souza there, even though Yoder was a decent bit bigger. TJ Brown came in at 146 and a half pounds. He missed weight. He needed the box. He did not come in and attempt to make weight a second time. He actually looked comfortable on the scale, though, well muscled, didn't look too sucked out. So it's a weight miss, but it's not one that I think is necessarily going to hurt him. He's taking on Danny Chavez, 146 pounds, and he looked shredded. This guy looked absolutely pumped up. And when they faced off, he got into TJ Brown's face and he was giving him the crazy eyes. Chavez is ready to go. The man is 100% intensity right now. And honestly, I've kind of switched my pick here. I was leaning towards TJ Brown. I do think he's probably got the better skill set. He's a grappler first, and in the small cage, he's going to be able to get those takedowns. However, Chavez is not to be taken lightly, and the shape that he came in, he looks ready to go. He looks good, and he's a decent little underdog here. So I wouldn't mind sprinkling on the dog here, especially with TJ Brown missing weight. I said that I don't think it will affect him, but we can't ever be sure whether or not that's true, right? Chavez looked awesome mid weight, just fine, and was excited and ready to go. TJ, on the other hand, missed weight, and that's all we know. So if he's going to have any problems, if he gasses out, and he has been known to make some mistakes in his grappling, he could hit the canvas here. So that one's going to be interesting. Felice Herrig came in at 116 pounds. Verna Jandiroba made 115.5. And Felice Herrig is just a brick shithouse of a woman. She's probably the most well-muscled female in the UFC today. Big flex. She's extremely ripped. She looked ready to go. Verna Jandiroba, silent, confident. She gave a good flex after the weigh-in as well. It was a really respectful face-off. Neither woman really tried to get too crazy with it. And, both of them looked absolutely confident. Herrig is a little bit bigger. We knew that. We expected that. This line's getting a little out of control. It looks like some money coming in on Verna Jandiroba. Felice Herrig popped all the way up to plus 280 for a minute there. So, you know what? I'm not going to touch this one at this point. My breakdown hasn't changed at all. With Felice Herrig being bigger, I'm expecting her to be stronger. If she can stay defensive grappling, I think she might just be able to squeeze out a close split decision or something like that here. But I'm not seeing enough to really make me take that shot. If that line gets further out of control, if she gets up to like plus 300 or something like that, maybe I'll throw a half unit on it. Maybe I'll put a half unit on Felice by decision, something like that. But at this point, it's going to be a pass. Jim Miller taking on Vince from Hell Pischel. Both men came in at 156 pounds. And honestly, there's not a lot to report here. Both guys are veterans of the sport. Both guys know what they're doing. They're consummate professionals. Everything was just kind of business as usual for both these guys. Vince Pischel is much bigger than Jim. He's in much better shape, and that's really the story here. When they faced off, we knew he was going to be the bigger guy, but when they get up into each other's grills, that became just super evident. I like my spot. I'm already on Pischel, and I think the value is gone there. There's a little bit of buyback happening on Jim, so if you can get Pischel around minus 120 or so, I definitely don't hate it. I think he's the right side here. John Dodson versus Mirabdas Veli. John Dodson came in same as ever, made weight, super easy because he belongs a weight class down. Big flex, always happy, big smile, gets into it, does his little pose when he gets to the weigh-in, the face-off there. Mirabdas Veli, great shape as ever. Big extra flex. He looks like he's been, putting some work in and he's proud of himself. He was pumped up. He took the mask off for his photo op. He really was living in the moment there. And when they faced off, they were talking to each other, which that's not abnormal for a John Dodson fight. He's always messing with his opponents. Not necessarily any type of trash talk or anything like that. Sometimes he's just having a little fun. So they looked like they were having a good time. Mirab was huge, though. Mirab was absolutely ginormous next to John Dodson, and we knew that coming in. I like my spot here on Mirab, and seeing them face off, seeing that size difference, that just kind of cemented that for me. Now, here's the one where it gets a little bit sketchy. Herbert Burns taking on Daniel Pineda. Pineda looked good. We talked about him coming in off a USADA suspension. He got popped for performance-enhancing drugs over in the PFL. He made 145, and he looked in pretty damn good shape, especially for a guy who is no longer on the juice. He looked in pretty damn good shape. Now, Herbert Burns here coming in at 149.5 pounds. He looked bad. He missed weight. He looked extremely labored making his way to the scale. He looked slow. He looked drained. I'm concerned. Now, Herbert Burns is in my parlay with Mirabdas Veli, and I'm super, super nervous here. I'm not sure what I want to do. I might even end up hedging out and throwing a unit on Daniel Pineda, just because I don't know if I want to be that overexposed on Burns the way that he is looking. When they came to the face-offs, I was really crossing my fingers and praying, hoping that Burns would have a little bit more, bounce in his step, a little bit more energy, rehydrate a bit, come back, look better, show me that it's just not that big of a deal, but he didn't. He came in with his sunglasses on. He looked slow. He looked tentative. He fist bumped Dana White and just kind of slunk his way off the stage afterward. Pineda, on the other hand, he looked good. He flexed. He had his abs up. He was in serious shape, intense, ready to go. I'm very, very, very concerned here. And this is a spot that I've talked about on the post-weigh-in breakdown a couple times before, is I'm not really sure what I want to do. If this was a straight bet, I would be hedging all day. This is a parlay, though, and because it's a parlay, maybe that frees me up a little bit, because if Mirab wins and my parlay is halfway won, then I can hedge on Pineda and I can basically lock up a middle there and lock up a unit or so worth of profit no matter who ends up winning that fight. That's not a bad option. I might end up doing that, especially because Pineda's still a decent-sized dog. You can get him at about plus 220 right now. However, after the weigh-ins, money is coming in on him. That number is dropping like a rock right now. I put out a little poll on Twitter, and I asked you guys all what you thought I should do in this circumstance. And so far, 61% of you have said just ride it out. So I am nothing if not a man of the people. So I haven't made my decision yet. We might just let it ride, and hey, it's only money, right? So we might just let this one go and let the chips fall where they may. But I have a 2-unit parlay with Mirab and Burns that scares me. And then I've got a 1-unit parlay with Mirab, Burns, and Sean O'Malley. So I have 3 units risked with Burns involved. And with the way he looked on the scales, I'm not happy about that. Like I said, I could give back 1 unit worth of profit, take that shot on Pineda, and let's, pretend that the 1 parlay cashes. I put 2 units in my pocket. And then if we hit that 3rd one, obviously we're looking at 3.75 units worth of profit, something like that. But if Pineda ends up spoiling this thing for us and we drop 3 units, we'd get 2.2 of them back. So not a bad hedge spot to make sure I'm not overextended here. We'll see. I haven't made my choice yet. Junior Dos Santos came in and looked fantastic. 238.5 pounds, and he was loving the moment. He got up there, he was playing to the people, had his arms wide, all ripped up. Junior looks like he has rediscovered the fountain of youth. Jairzinho Rosenstreich came in at 254 pounds. Business as usual, kept his shirt on, didn't even bother taking it off for the weigh-ins. Not sure if I should look into that or not. He's kind of a quiet guy, so I don't know. Like, I've got some concerns on this fight. I put a bet on Junior Dos Santos at plus 130 because I'm concerned with the quick turnaround for Jairzinho after having his head taken off by Francis Ngannou. And on top of that, he looked a whole lot smaller than JDS. When they faced off, I was really surprised at how much bigger JDS is than Jairzinho. Now, I know Jairzinho's thing is he hits hard and he's super fast, so that doesn't necessarily put him at much of a disadvantage here, but I was surprised. I thought they would match up a little bit better physically speaking, and JDS definitely gets the check mark on that one. So I'm kind of loving my spot here. JDS looks great. He looks happy. He looks excited, and he's the bigger man, and he's the underdog. I like it. I like my spot. Sean O'Malley taking on Marlo and Cheeto Vera. This one's fun, folks. So we've got 146 pounds for both fighters. Really no issues with Sean O'Malley. People were saying he looked bad, and I didn't really see that. I'm not sure why people say that he was looking bad. He's kind of a skinny, taller build anyway, so I think people may have taken that for being sucked out, but I didn't notice much out of the ordinary there myself. Marlon Vera came in, business as usual, seemed really casual, confident, not a problem. When they faced off, Sean O'Malley got in Marlon Vera's face. The size advantage became evident there when they got up on top of each other. But one thing I've been hearing lately is people were talking about how Sean O'Malley hasn't really been doing interviews. He hasn't really been talking a whole lot. And they're saying basically that he's being set up for some kind of a fall here. And Marlon Vera has been the one out there kind of pushing this fight, the one who's really been jawing and getting into that crap talk type of angle. I don't see it that way. To me, Sean O'Malley's been a stone cold killer. He's perfectly confident in himself. He's got everything going for him here. He's got the height and reach advantage, and he's got an opponent that's super hittable at striking range. And the fact that he's not talking doesn't really make a difference to me. He's dialed in. He is not taking Vera lightly. He likes this fight. He's ready to go, and he's ready to hurt somebody. And because of the way that Vera has been talking, I think O'Malley has taken some offense to that. So Vera may be winning the mental warfare aspect of this fight. Maybe he's in O'Malley's head. Possibly, that could be true, but I don't know if you want to be in O'Malley's head. I think that might be something that comes back and bites him on fight night, because he may get a 11th gear, absolutely dialed in, razor-focused Sean O'Malley, and that's not something you want to be locked in the cage with. In the main event, we've got Stipe Meosic taking on Daniel Cormier, and Stipe looked muy bueno. Stipe came in the best shape I have ever seen him in. 233 pounds, lean, cut, confident, ready to go. Stipe has never looked this good before, and I couldn't be happier about my bet on him at this point. Now, Daniel Cormier came in at 236, and everyone seemed really surprised. They're like, oh my gosh, look how light he is. Look how light he's coming in. Guys, he came in at 236.5 for the rematch. So everyone's talking about how phenomenal in shape he is, and you know what? He was about here when he had the gas tank issues. So I know he's been working harder. He does look like he added on a little bit of muscle for this fight. So don't get me wrong, I'm not taking him lightly. I'm not discounting him here. But don't get too excited about the fact that he came in a little bit lighter, because that's about where he was last time. I don't think it's that big of a difference. Both guys just oozing confidence. This is the rubber match. They're 1-1. Both guys know they can win. They've both won by knockout. We've gone over this fight top to bottom. The weigh-ins, the only thing that changed at the weigh-ins is we got to see Stipe with his shirt off and confirmed that he's in the best shape that we have ever seen him in. Daniel Cormier, he looks about like he ever has. Don't get me wrong, he's taking this fight seriously, but not a whole lot to report from Daniel Cormier. So I'm going to take that as a very small check mark on Stipe, and that's where my bet is. So I'm just hoping that one pulls through for me. Make sure you follow me at DieHard MMA Pod over on Twitter. If I move in on any other plays or decide to go ahead and hedge out on my parlay, you will find out when I do it there. Make sure you hit the like button here. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the weigh-ins. Let me know who your favorite bets are for tomorrow. As always, good luck on your action, everybody. Subscribe here to Odds HQ. We bring you the absolute best sports betting content on the internet today. MMA #1, baby. Let's freaking roll. Enjoy your Friday, everybody. Have a good one.